So today we're reviewing for the top 20 test, which is tomorrow. It's your last chance to improve your top 20. Everybody write down the distance formula, D equals, and then a big square root. I called it the Fight Club because there's a lot of subtracting, which I think of as a negative thing involved. I will just ask you to write the distance formula on that piece of paper. So unfortunately, there's only 4 kids that seem to know the distance formula. It's really helpful for finding the distance between 2 points. So put a parenthesis like this. I said it was the Fight Club because it's like 2 x's are fighting each other. And you might think, which x is which? It won't matter. Because if it's like 8 minus 2 or 2 minus 8, you'll get the same thing when you square it. If I just start with that, you should be able to finish the rest of the formula. I mean, just kind of use logic. So the x's are fighting them. I guess that must be the y's are fighting over here. Yes, that's true. And there's only one plus sign in the whole thing, and it's right there. So imagine yourself walking into the Fight Club, and you're seeing these x's fighting each other, and that's kind of surreal. They're squared up against each other. They're like in a ring, you know, because they got the parentheses. And the y's are fighting each other. And like I said, it doesn't need the sub 2's and sub 1's, because if it was 10 minus 1, it'd be 9. Or 1 minus 10, it'd be negative 9. And either way, when you square it, you'd come out the same thing. All right. So I think I just saved you a whole bunch of points, but because like almost everybody didn't know that. That would have been like cumulatively 27 problems wrong. So let's just practice it and see if you really get how to use it. If I have the point 10, 1, and I want to know how far apart that is from 20, let me think, 9, would you please use the distance formula and figure out, and your answer will be a square root. Sometimes the square roots work out nice. Sometimes your answer is like square root of 111. Now, I will admit, the distance formula is something that you probably won't see on your final. It is on the honors precalc final, but it's not on yours. Okay, so this is one that's not likely to appear on your final. But I'm telling you, if you haven't already gotten into a college, the ACT test will have something like this on there. What's the distance between here and here? Sometimes it's in the context of a word problem, but it boils down to, oh, I guess I got to find the distance between these 2 points. All right, so did you put in the 10 and the 20? And it doesn't matter which way you do it, so I guess I might as well go 20 minus 10 just because it's easier. 20 minus 10 is 10, and then 10 squared is 100. Plus, and then the y's, 9 minus 1 is the way I'd prefer to subtract them since I get to pick. I'll do it that way. 8 squared, 64. It's all square root, right? Square root of 164. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Cool. If you know the formula, it's easy, right? To get on the ACT test, they do not give you a formula sheet. You either know the formula or you don't. And if you know the formula, it's not hard. All right. So let's do another one that's kind of a formula-based deal. If I give you those same 2 points, 10, 1, 20, 9, what's the midpoint? Now, if you're in the middle of 2 things, you are in the average of them. I'll let you see if that's enough of a hint. You're in the average of the x's and the average of the y's. Now pause for a second while you give that one a try. Okay, if you caught that I said average, mid means middle of, and that's really the average of them, okay? So like if you got $10 and your friend's got $2, what's exactly in the middle of that is 6. 10 plus the 2, and then you divide by 2. So here we go, 10 plus the 20, And then we don't just add them together, we find what's in the middle, so we divide by 2. And then the y's, which is the 1 plus the 9, which would be 10, divided by 2. So then we got 30 divided by 2 is 15, comma, 10 divided by 2 is 5. Who had 15, comma, 5? Okay, good. If you didn't know the midpoint formula, now you do. You average your x's and you average your y's. The ACT test is 38% geometry. 38% rounds to 40%. 40% of the ACT is geometry? Yes. There's a lot of geometry on there. And I know you've had a chance to forget it. This is me trying to help you for your ACT test. All right. So, next one is simple slope. I know you know where it is, like 2/3 x plus 8. The slope's right there, right? But how do you get a slope? You get it from 2 points. If I say 2 comma 10 is a point and 3 comma 11 is a point, what's the slope between them? We usually abbreviate it M. What is the slope? It's not 2/3. What is it for this? If you've forgotten, I'll help you remember. All right, on this one, the order matters. 11 minus 10 over 3 minus 2. It's the y's subtracted over the x's subtracted, but the order matters, so it's got to be y sub 2, y sub 1, x sub 2, x sub 1. And that means 11 minus 10 is 1, over 3 minus 2 is 1, and that means that we have a slope of 1. Raise your hand if you had a slope of 1. Okay, good. Now, let's see if you know how to use that. What do you mean use that? I mean, use it in a bigger formula that you ought to have memorized. Y minus y sub 1 equals M. Finish it. See if you can finish that. That's a key formula. I was told by a calculus teacher, if you can finish this formula, that is used a lot. If you're going to calculus next year, it's most of you. There's a few of you that are going to stats, but most of you are taking some version of calculus. Could even be taking an IB version of calculus, but it's going to be in there. Dominic, you got the rest of this memorized or not? Yeah. What is the rest of it? X minus x sub 1. Okay. Now, we figured out the slope here. The slope was 1. Do you know where to put it? Yeah, it goes there. And then, which of the x's and y's is where I put a point? Like, if I pick 2 comma 10, I want that to be my point. Where do I put it? There and there. Everybody finish by writing me the equation for the line that goes through 2 comma 10. It also goes through 3 comma 11. So this is the equation for a line that goes through 2 points. One of the hardest ones on the top 20. But you all had it in Algebra 2, past tense. You already did this, you just probably forgot it. Put that on my keyboard. All right, so this is a 1. Because the slope was 1, figured it out here. And the 2 comma 10, if that's the point we're supposed to use, it's very tempting to put the 2 here, but think about it. Isn't this the x value of the point? And therefore the 2 should be there, and the 10 should be here. And can you just leave it this way? It depends. You could leave it this way today when it's on paper, because that is an equation. But on Schoology, when you take this test tomorrow, and it's worth 8 homework assignments. Not kidding. And you can retake it if you want to, but you have to retake it in my classroom with me watching you, okay? Because I don't want your big brother to do this top 20 for you. This is going to count worth 8 homework assignments. This problem alone is almost worth half of a homework assignment. All right, so how do I put it into Schoology? You multiply this out, and you'd have 1x minus 2. And then you just have to add 10 to both sides, and you've got it solved in the way that Schoology would want it, which is called mx plus b form. So you'd have it solved for y. Y equals x, or 1x, but x is cleaner. And these two together is plus 8. That's the equation that goes through those 2 points. Did anybody have that equation before I said it? A couple. All right, good. All right, this one's okay, but I would have accepted this one too if it's on paper, because that's an equation that goes through the point 2 comma 10. All right, so there's some of the toughest ones. Now, your job for today is to practice this top 20. I've given you version 3. Version 3 has a key out there at Algebra Ninja. If you go to Algebra Ninja, you'll be able to grade this thing tonight. But you and the partner I assign you to are going to try to get this thing done in class today. And I get that some groups work really slow, in which case you might have to finish it at home. But this is your only new assignment I'm giving you for today, is to finish the top 20 with a partner and really get it down. Because tomorrow is the test on this. The last test on this. All right, and that's all I got for you for today.